Say your name and spell it for me.
My name is John Roth, R-O-T-H, and I work for the National Park Service at Oregon Caves National Monument for the last 14 years.
Okay, 14, that's a long time. So you've probably just about seen everything out here with having to do with nature and all the mishaps and all the strange things that might go on?
You bet. We've seen lots of large mammals here. We have a high concentration of mountain lions as well as bears. We've just recently captured on film a fisher, which is a very rare animal, a large weasel.
Wow, that's interesting. How prevalent is the wildlife then?
We have pretty abundant wildlife here. It varies anywhere from tiny insects, bacteria, things in the cave found nowhere else in the world, up to large mammals like lions and bears.
Okay. Take me back a couple of years when Dr. Johnson, when the story was relayed to you, what happened up here at the caves?
I got a report of a Bigfoot sighting by a visitor to the monument. I went up to investigate, as we do for any sightings of potentially large mammals, animals that might possibly interact with people. For example, if we'd had a sighting of a mountain lion, we would have gone up to make sure that a kill was not too close to a trail, and which would increase the possibility of a human-animal interaction.
Okay, excellent. What were your first impressions when you contacted Dr. Johnson?
My first impressions on contacting Matthew Johnson was that he was a very credible person, that I very quickly realized that he was telling the truth, that what he described, he was not making up. I've done other interviews with other research on actually things like little people, and I get the same thing, that people who see these things are, for the most part, some exception of course, are very credible. They're not making these things up, and I'm pretty certain also they're not hallucinations. They don't fit in the classic patterns of what produces those sort of things. These people are very reliable.
Tell me about the hoax side of it. Do you get people up here trying to fool you at all?
We've never had any hoaxes perpetuated, to my knowledge, in the monument itself. Well, obviously, I've heard, like many others, of people doing that. But what's very interesting about that whole business is to have an hoax that would happen for 50 years all over the Pacific Northwest, a variety of different tracks and so on, is just about as preposterous as anything else.
Great line. Okay, so you call Matt up on the telephone. What did you say to him?
I talked to Matthew on the telephone and talked a little bit about what I knew about Bigfoot. For example, he seemed a little bit apprehensive about returning to the monument, so I told him that based on what I knew, there'd never been any documented, at least in this century, documented cases of people being harmed by Bigfoot, fake charges to get them to go away from an area, that sort of thing, but no actually physical damage. So I felt it was pretty safe if he